Spy work generally means you never really know who your friends are. But with shape-shifting Skrulls and Secret Invasion, even your friends might not be your friends. Does James Rhodey Rhodes really harbor that much ill will towards Nick Fury? Or is there a Skrullier reason he's mad?
That's not possible.
The series has been full of surprises, first of which is that apparently everyone is big mad at Nick Fury for taking some time to process being dusted and the superhero team he fought to form, saving half the universe. You'd think he mind-warped a town in New Jersey or skipped out of the timeline to be with his first crush or something. But the biggest surprise was that among those mad at Fury for taking a knee was his wife Pricilla, who herself is a Skrull and part of the Resistance. Her contact just so happens to have one of the most recognizable voices in the MCU, so that's either Rhodey on the other end of the line, or the grown-up version of the kid in the new Wonder Years show.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Here's a weird fact. If a brand or brand name appears on screen, that brand paid to be there. Otherwise, it has to be made unrecognizable, a process in production called Greeking. In order to create the impression that they're the default option, Apple is more than happy for every character to be an iPhone user, as long as that character is on the side of the angels. Apple has a strict no bad guys rule for iPhone appearances. Bad guys use Android phones, like the one Rhodey was using when Fury made his call. Look, if you have a last name like Fury, are you really going to waste it letting people refer to you as Nick? Nick is something that happens when you're shaving, not an impressive super spy name. Fury is much cooler. Fury enforced this principle when getting to know Carol Danvers. She might have been bemused by Fury's insistence on going by Fury, but at the time, she was going by half of her last name, so him clarifying that everyone calls him Fury, his mom, his hypothetical kids, everyone, meant that when Talos called him Nick, Fury knew he was dealing with a fake. Which might be the same giveaway that Skrull Rhodey made when he called Fury Nick in the course of firing him.
That's what this moment right here, right now is about, Nick.
No matter where you sit on the political spectrum, one thing seems certain. Sitting before a committee seems super irritating. Especially when what you're being accused of happened, but it wasn't your idea and you can't really comment on it. That's the position Rhodey was in trying to answer for the presence of Nick Fury and Maria Hill in Moscow right before a bunch of stuff blew up. Rhodes expresses his frustration when he tells his aide,
Slovakia rolls its eyes at me one more time, I'm gonna put on the suit and carpet bomb it.
Understandable, but from the guy who got his suit by tempering Tony's more brash and unilateral decision-making? Nick Fury was probably right to keep the existence of an alien species that can shapeshift into anyone, complete with their memories and personality, secret. But then, a Kree Inquisitor ship blew up in orbit in the 90s as well as dropped bombs, so maybe someone noticed. Rhodey didn't seem surprised by the existence of Skrulls.
About 15 years ago, I was part of an eyes-only top-secret presentation.
But then, being part of that meeting would make him a prime target for replacement, so they could delay detection as long as possible.
I rest my case.
The last time we saw Rhodey interact with the government, it was Secretary Ross telling Rhodes to arrest the fugitive Avengers who had refused to sign the Sokovia Accords. When Rhodey swiped it away, he quipped that he'd just caught a court-martial. Of course, after saving half of all existence, we know that some leeway was granted. A pardon is one thing, but having Rhodey promoted to a diplomatic position? That might be Skrull-duggery. Ah, wordplay. At a certain point, you'd think someone would get the benefit of the doubt. The World Council pushed back against the formation of the Avengers, but the Avengers turned out to be just the thing to fight back against Loki. Sure, a pair of them created a murder bot that tried to erase humanity by using its capital city as a giant pog striker, but they also stopped that. So when he says there's a secret invasion of shape-shifting aliens, maybe hear him out. Well, not if you want to slow him down. Firing Nick Fury works in the Rebels' favor, which is just the kind of thing they'd want a Skrull Rhodey to do for them. The main critique early in the shared universe was that anytime a hero faced a threat in a solo movie, it always carried the question, why not just call the Avengers? Well, because Avengers tend to be busy with their own stuff. But also, it's not always the best idea to bring in the big guns, as Fury points out when Rhodey suggests calling them. The Avengers show up, get duplicated, get framed, the problem gets that much worse. Which is exactly what the Skrull rebels want as they're trying to collect DNA samples from the heroes to create super Skrulls. Color has been a big part of the design in Marvel since the beginning. While the bright colors of the comic book outfits have been muted, they've generally lent those colors out to the production design. This was most obvious in the red, purple, yellow, and greens of the Netflix Marvel shows, each depicting a different member of the Defenders. Could that mean that the green lily at the table was a hint to Rhodey's greener nature?
Well, don't you think that's weird? Definitely weird.
Or is it that a fancy restaurant is gonna have some snazzy on their table? Whether or not Rhodey is a Skrull in Secret Invasion, we know that there's more conflict ahead. Rhodey is set to take center stage in a movie based on the classic Iron Man story, Armor Wars. In the comic story, Tony Stark finds out that most of the armor-based heroes and bad guys are all using a key piece of Stark tech that he did not make public, and he goes on a personal crusade to disable the chip, good guy or bad. Rhodey will be taking the driver's seat in the adaptation of Armor Wars, which Secret Invasion is meant to set up, indicating that real Rhodey might be tasked with tracking down power armor tech that Skrull Rhodey gave away.
Case closed.
They've thrown us early clues about someone else's eventual Skrull identity. When Skrull Agent Ross is on the phone to the man who uncovered the Skrull conspiracy, he ends the phone call throwing away the phone and picking his gun up off the ground, presumably where the real Ross left it when abducted.
From now on, you tell me everything.